I'm just going to start off with how did this happen? How did this come about? How did you all decide to make a film like this?
This was the third semester film that we were supposed to make in college, and we were all of the teams were given a single theme that was the streets of Bombay, and we had one or two topics, and we didn't, but those topics were removed from us because we didn't participate in any of those things that we thought of initially. And street photography is something we have always been part of. We do it ourselves, and we put it on our Facebook and Instagram. So we just wanted to look into it and see how we turn things up.
Hi. It was a thoughtful film. I want to ask, you talk about, the film talks about saturation of images, the kind of same images that people keep on taking, and uh, how sometimes a choice of taking photographs, they are driven by other photographs that we have seen on Flickr or Instagram or somewhere else. So I don't know if it's a question. I haven't formed a question yet about this, but what's your thought on that? Kind of saturation of same kind of images.
See, social media has a huge role to play in that because all of us are on social media, most of us, if not all. And the images that we produce mostly then are uploaded on the sites and the accounts that we have. Uh, these are also the sites where from where we consume the images. And street photography as a genre doesn't speak very well to me because I don't know how if it's a genre, if it should be, or I mean, I'm really in a split here. I'm not for it actually. But most of the pages, every city has almost about 50 or maybe 100 accounts or maybe more than that, which has just Bombay street photography, Mumbai street photographers of Mumbai, and so on and so forth. And you'll find that about most of the cities, and you have a pan India and worldwide account. So we keep on seeing these images, and that just somewhere, if not consciously, subconsciously affects us. And when we go out on the streets, we tend to photograph the same places. And it's just that if you try to map a city through the images that we produce, we will miss out on a lot of parts because we don't photograph them at all. So we just need a lot of people, and it's also depends on who is photographing and which place. If we go into Dharavi and other pockets and we shoot those places, but it would be interesting how the people from Dharavi themselves shoot their own. So there are a lot of things that are still missing. We'll have to see.
Anyone else with a question or comment?
I can. Yeah, great. Yeah. So it's a comment slash question also. I'm a huge fan of Mumbai Post, his Instagram and Twitter page. But at the same time, I'm very scared of the army of photographers that walk around in the city. I'm from Bangalore, and I'm using the word army very consciously because I've started feeling that that camera has become like a weapon where people just feel like they can use that in front of anybody. And I'm also aware of the fact that there is this eroticization, and all the words were rightly pointed out in the movie. I'm very much happy to see the word porn, eroticization of some of these things. And I don't know. So the question would be more in lines of ethics of photographers. Is that something happening in the photography circle? Because Susan Sontag rightly placed in the starting of the conversation, but at the same time, there's this boom of photographers who are going through this guilt trip, but at the same time are producing because you do have that burden of you have to produce. So is that a conversation that's happening in the photography circle, even in the film circles? Because in my head, film is just an extension of photography. So I mean, because it's interesting because you called it the still city, and then you made a movie out of it, and it was beautiful. The images were beautiful, and it made me uncomfortable a lot of part, rightly pointed. So all these questions of the ethics, how do you play with it?
Uh, we discussed this while we were making the film. That is why, when to a certain extent, I think we are responsible in villainizing some of the people who were part of the uh, photo walk and show bazaar because whatever this for. But we are making we were making a film on it, so we were equally responsible for what we were criticizing. That's why we decided to criticize ourselves as well in the film. And we have we did talk to all these photographers and many other photographers about uh, the ethics of the entire of act of photography, the city and the places, and how we go about it. Uh, and the conclusion always have been, and I guess will be, we will never get it right. We are not going to, because some of the we have to. I don't know why we have to produce images now, but now we are used to it. We are going to produce images, I guess, and we love it. So we're going to keep producing and we'll keep consuming. Apart from that, it's some the things that we get right are always there's always something wrong about it, and things that we get wrong there's always some right side to it, I guess, because if you look at the photojournalist, especially, which Anushri is, in her case it's her job to photograph certain places, certain events and everything, but is that actually right? Even if she's doing it, and it's very important to photograph certain events because they are happening and we really need to. But how right is that? I mean, if an upper class photojournalist takes a photograph of an injured uh, mm, Dalit, a person who has been injured in a violent clash, it's important that we photograph and we write about it. But there is a power imbalance there. So it's right, and it's at the same time there's some wrong there. We'll not get it right. That's the conclusion, I guess.
Hello. Um, can you tell us about your experience about M-word photography?
Which photography?
M-word.
M-ward. Uh, uh, Gopal specializes. He loves those places, and our college is in Chembur, but was in Chembur. I used to study there, and we walked around with him, and a lot also with Ayush, who was one of was in college. So there, I don't know what to speak about the experience we had there. It's an interesting. I think Gopal, as mentioned, things spill out on the streets a lot. There's a lot of things happening. It's a crowded place, so no matter how much enthusiasm you have, and no matter how skilled a photographer you are, you will miss out on a lot of interesting things. And even if you dedicate your entire life just photographing M-word, you'll still not get it. So that's how interesting the place is. Yeah. I can hear you.
Hello. Wow. Hi. I love the film as well for the same reasons that have been mentioned so far. My question is, given that this army of photographers is growing and growing, are there any ethical best practices that one can keep in mind while practicing this to, I don't know, just reduce the bad karma you're creating, but also to just do this sort of create this content and create these photo stories in a way that respects the subjects and treats them as subjects as well. So, is there anything that you all have sort of developed in your practice?
First of all, avoid all the three things that those three photographers mentioned in the film. That how they take sneakily take photographs, or they take it from a zoom lens and then they just vanish. So So don't do that. Unless you're in a war zone, I don't think you need a zoom lens to shoot any of these things. Apart from that, ask for a permission. It's very simple. Just ask for it. If you think sometimes you won't get candid images, and there's nothing like candid images. Just ask for the permission. They'll very happily give you a much better pose. They'll perform for you if they want. The people who love to get photographed, they'll perform for you, and you will get a very beautiful photograph. Ask for the permission. Second, if you participate in the live, even little bit of participation, like Gopal, the photographs that he takes, he walks around, he strolls around the street, the shopkeepers, and he sees, and he buys stuffs from them. You contribute, or Anushri, she travels in the ladies' compartment. She's a participant in the life that she's photographing. So these these two photographers, they know what they're doing, and it's not that they also get it wrong sometimes, they know it themselves, but I think that's the best we can do. And there are many other scenarios in which one would be photographing, and there's so much more to it, and you'll have to figure it out yourself as you find yourself in those situations.
Hello. Mumbai is a vibrant city, but why the title is Still City?
Still city, that was like the photographs are stills, so we click the city, so it's
but the still is adjective to the city.
No, still city sounded nice. That's the best name we could come up with, because the photographs are called stills. So what? Okay, city stills. Yeah.
Actually, I love the film, firstly. This is not a question. I want you to comment on this. See, the army that you were talking about, probably what is wrong with street photography, or something that is wrong with street photography, is you are too random about clicking. You just go and click anything. See, there is an excellent example of street photography of Sudarak right there. The difference is he had a theme. So the moment you have a theme, you look for a theme and then go around looking at the subject from that point of view. The randomness will come down, and what you were saying about living with them, that will come through. I mean, Sudarak actually has lived there, and even the other one, the two parts of the city. So there is a theme. I think that is what. Will that make a difference in street photography?
Themes, not really. I mean, you can have 1,000 themes, and you can go about shooting, and you can get 1,000 pictures out of the same theme. But it's how you engage with your subjects and the story that you try to tell. And there are a lot of photographers and filmmakers who have great stories, and they have messed it up because they clearly didn't took the consent of some of their subjects, or they took the consent for something else, and they ended up photographing or filming something else, portraying them in completely different light. Now that's completely wrong, though it might do justice to their theme or the story that they're telling, but it's completely wrong and irresponsible of them. And yeah.
Madhumoy and team, I definitely appreciate the effort. But being a TSS alumni, I expected little more, to be very honest. I miss the nature part of the city, which could have added little more still stories in that, which is not there at all. I was looking forward to that, because coming from TIS environment, something related to nature, which is an integral part of the city, I did miss here. Otherwise, Gopal's efforts are also to appreciate. He said he is not trying to portray poetry, but it was looking as if it is a compilation of different stories, and definitely a little theme missing in it. Anyways, all the best for your future efforts.
Yeah, I'll just respond to the missing nature because the photographers that we chose, they don't photograph the nature. I mean, that's a different. That would be a different genre of photography, though it's a part of Bombay. But I mean, nature. It's mostly wildlife photography where you have these beautiful images of trees and birds and everything, but not necessarily human life. Unless you go to the slums near mangrove, where you get mangroves as well as the slums, then probably they'll be interested and they'll photograph those places.
uh, there is a usual complaint against the photographers that at the time of the accident, they busy photographing the victims instead of helping them. So, what is your opinion? Has the photographer is the only person present in the accident? Should he help him or to take the photographs?
I mean, the photographer will have to decide whether the photographer is a human first and photographer first. They'll have to decide it between the two. And if they prioritize their job more than uh, helping the person, they'll probably take the photograph. And this has been the uh, biggest accusation, mostly against the photojournalists who have taken very important images and at very important times, and they have contributed to the documentation of those events and everything. But people they photographed might have actually lost their life, while photographers could have helped the person. So yes, that's actually completely wrong, I believe. I mean, your photograph doesn't mean much then if in the act of it the very subject of your photograph uh, loses his or her life.
Any further questions or comments from anyone? All right. Thank you, Madhumoy.